Hi, this is Growing Pains and Pleasures with Julia. Welcome to the first official episode of the podcast. This is the episode where I'll be giving a brief introduction to who I am, a brief background of Julia's life, and the reason why I started the podcast, right? So without further ado, let's get to it. My names are Julia Feling Mashwabati, and because I'm such a sucker for names and wanting to know, I'm very curious about names, about people's names. I love names. I don't even know if there's a term for that, but I am such a huge fan of people's names. I feel like our names tie us closer to our identity, and they're not just labels, but a name is like a personality. Well, for most people, for some people, they are completely different people from who they were named. So I was named after my great grandmother, like most people in the Black community. And I found out very late in life what my names mean, because growing up we were not really exposed to the internet and smartphones, so I didn't really know what my names meant. And it was so sad because in primary school there were activities where they asked you, what does your name mean? And people had such chilled names, and they would from the top of their heads oh, my name is, and it means. And then you get me, it's I don't know what my names mean. My parents don't know what my names mean because I got named after people. They just copied and pasted, and then that was it. But later on in life, as the use of smartphones got prominent, I searched up what my name means. Firstly, I was obsessed with the name Julia, and then I found out it's Latin and it basically means youthful. And I'm okay, interesting, youthful. And then I had to look up my other name, which is Feling, and it's Sotho, which loosely translates to beyond the end. And I'm hey, I came up with this cool idea to say youthful beyond the end. And that basically became my tagline. And if I were to start a company, that would be the motto or the selling point, youthful beyond the end. So that's basically what my name translates to. I'm a 27-year-old female, grew up in one of the townships in Gauteng, and my life has been pretty chilled. As a child, I was a very reserved and quiet child, and then I grew out of that shy awkwardness as I went into high school, because that's when I think I got exposed to being around large crowds, because my primary school, we were very small in number, and then when I got to high school, I was oh, this is a big world with so many people and different personalities. So now being that small and shy and quiet was not gonna cut it for me. I had to now take up space, and it didn't even take much, because I think because being smart also exposed me to such things. Being number one on top 10 and being one of the top achievers in high school made it easy for me to now start exposing myself to being outspoken and taking up space and just being a loud person, if I may put it like that. In high school, I used to be a public speaker, I used to be a debater, and I was just everywhere, I guess. And then after high school, I think that's when I got exposed also to now another reality of life, because now I'm out of high school or school in general is such a controlled environment where you get homework, you do homework, you get activities, school uniform and everything is just controlled. And now after high school, that's when I think I met life. That's when I got introduced to what life is, because the expectation was that because I'm smart, I'm gonna get into varsity. That didn't happen, and I stayed a year at home. And then after that, I went to college and I studied mechanical engineering. And I think after 2 years, I dropped out. And till this day, I look back at college and I'm I don't regret dropping out. I just regret the fact that I didn't finish my qualification, but dropping out, no regrets whatsoever. And then after that, I started working jobs. I was part of the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative for COVID in schools. I did that for a couple of years, and then after that I got introduced to the world of NPCs. I worked for an NPC here, and it worked closely with the Department of Health. So what I was doing was admin and data capturing, and that in itself was a whole new world, because here is me, Julia, who was so socially anxious, undiagnosed. I use the term socially anxious very loosely. I'm not diagnosed with it. And I have to interact with people. And clinics and hospitals, public clinics and hospitals are a very busy place where you get to meet people from all different walks of lives, and now this is me interacting with these people on the daily, and it's like, oh, this is scary because anxiety, but hey, I fell in love with that world, because I'm like, I didn't really know before I did the job that there's so much happening in clinics behind the scenes in terms of data collection, capturing patient files, reporting, and all of that shebang. I didn't really know that was a thing until I got exposed into that world, and I found that interesting. And I guess my shyness at that moment was just a myth. I think I was very good at hiding it, because then in that space also I'd consider myself as someone who was very expressive and someone who worked well with other people. But this is from my side. We don't know what those people I worked with thought. But I became this person who's very talkative, larger than life, always out there sharing experiences and things of the sort. And now I'm currently unemployed, and I'm trying to find where I fit into this world. And now, because there's been changes happening in my life, and now I'm a mom and everything, so I'm basically trying to redefine myself and find out where I fit into this big ball called Earth. I'm trying to find my footing again, and it's been an interesting journey. It's been an interesting journey, one I'm hoping to tell throughout other episodes in the podcast, but it's been interesting. Now, getting to the reason why I started the podcast. A few years ago, I met a lady at a salon. At the time, she was a complete stranger. We had a few conversations, and I found her to be a very interesting person. And we exchanged contacts, and we've never met since, but we talk frequently. She's a very interesting character. And she has become one of the most important people in my life. I hold her so profound. And her teachings have also molded me, I think, into the woman I'm slowly becoming. She's very nice. She introduced me to the concept of cathesis. And this was after I spoke to her about me being in therapy, because I've been in therapy twice. And yeah, we talked about that experience, and she was like, you should try cathesis. I was like, oh, interesting concept. Now, cathesis is the process of releasing and thereby providing relief from strong or repressed emotions. The techniques of cathesis are verbal expression, journaling or expressive writing, movement-based activities like yoga, running, gymnastics, screaming or crying, and all these methods of just relieving your pent-up emotions. There's people who see music as a form of cathesis, or physical activities like playing sports as a means of cathesis. And in that, I found that I gel well with verbal expression, because I've realized that even with therapy, for me, therapy was just talking and being able to realize things as I speak. So talking to me is a medium of my healing. And that's when I was like, I got the whole idea of the podcast was conceived to say I heal by speaking, and I can't always go back to therapy. So how about I start a podcast where I just talk about stuff, which will also help me realize them and realize the issues that I'm currently dealing with, being able to name them, therefore being able to solve them and heal and move past stuff. And as much as this is more on a public platform where everyone will have access to it, I think it's scary. And that's another lesson or something that I'm trying to overcome, rather, to say, for so long I've been apologetic about who I am. I've been apologetic about my feelings and my stance on so many things. I've been scared of getting my voice out there. So how about I start a podcast yes, it serves as cathartic release, but it also serves as me being unapologetic about my own voice, because I'm a very opinionated person, and in most cases I get scared when I have to voice them out, because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be judged, oh my gosh, I'm going to offend someone, oh my gosh, people are going to feel like I'm too much, I'm venting, it's a lot, I'm wearing down on people. So I think a podcast is such a cool way, if I may put it like that, of just getting my voice out there and just talking about my life experiences and just putting everything out there, you know? So now here we are with Growing Pains and Pleasures. Also the name of the podcast, I don't really have like a cool, interesting story of how that came about. I was just thinking about the term because now the theme is basically talking about my life, my growth, and the experiences that I've had, and the kind of things that I got exposed to that have shaped my outlook on life and molded me into the person that I am right now. So I'm thinking, oh, growing pains, you know, like growth and everything that came with it. You know, growing pains aren't just for kids, you know, but we still experience growing pains even late into adulthood. We are still growing and we experience pains, and yes, they may have shifted from the physical pains of growing up. Now they're more mental and emotional, you know. So I thought, oh, let's call it growing pains. But then also in that I'm like, but there's not only pain in growth, there's also pleasures, and how about I embrace those as well. That's when the term growing pains and pleasures came about. So this is just basically a journey of self-discovery, getting my voice out there and being unapologetic about it, and trying to take up space basically in where I currently am, because now I'm unemployed and everyone else leaves the house and it's just me and my thoughts for the greater part of the day. And I'm like, okay, might as well use this time to start journaling, but with my voice, you know, because I can't write anymore. I used to write a lot also, as such an expressive writer, but now my hands are failing me. I can't even finish a page without getting cramps. So speaking was like the best medium of cathartic release I could think of. And this is basically it. This is basically why the idea that has been in my head for so long finally came to life. Because I conceived the idea of release earlier this year, I think in February, of starting a podcast as a means of release. But then again, I was scared. I was like, how is the public going to receive it? How are my people going to receive it? Because I think sometimes talking about emotions has become so cringe. I was like, oh, now she's talking about her life and her feelings. Oh, you know, but that was just me. No one in my life has made me feel cringe for talking to them about my feelings. That is just me internally judging myself to say, will it be a thing? You know, will it really be a thing? But now we are here, and I'm actually excited. So the idea is that I publish an episode once a week, and I'm not really sure about the length. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still trying to figure out the editing of everything. So please bear with me when you hear little mistakes or, you know, the sound is a little off, but I do appreciate constructive criticism. And please please rate me, please leave comments, please interact, let's talk, let's have a conversation. And as much as this is just me releasing my emotions, but I'd really love to hear if people relate to the things that I've been going through, if people relate to the things that I'll basically be talking about, you know, because I don't want to conform to just one thing, in as much as it's about me. But I think I'm not a one-of-a-kind kind of person. I think the issues that affect me affect most people my age, living in my kind of setup, you know, living in the hood, who are 27 years old, who are trying to find their footing. You know, I think now recently I became a mom, so that's also another world I'm trying to understand and find how things really work, how to navigate unemployment, how to navigate mental health, how to navigate grief. There's so many things I want to talk about. Anxiety, depression, big feelings, you know, things of the sort. So I think that's what I'm just trying to establish here. I would really appreciate engaging with you. Looking forward to the comments, the pointers, and yeah, see you on the next episode.